Hi, I thought the best thing to do to show you the steps for recovery would maybe be to create a quick video instead of sending any PowerPoint or trying to explain it in email. So what I'd like to do is step through just kind of a bit of a reminder on how we protect data, leveraging our service level agreements, and then really to answer the question of how we go about recovering files and data once it's been replicated to the remote site. So again, we protect things and objects, whether it's AIX file systems, managed volumes where you write your DB2 backups to, or any object that we might protect, such as a VM, by leveraging the SLA. So we create an SLA, and here's where we specify how frequently we're going to protect the data. So we'll keep it simple for this example, and we'll say that we're going to do it once a day, and that we're going to need to keep it, for 31 days, but we've got monthly that we want to keep for a year, and maybe every year we want to keep for 7 years. So when we configure the remote settings, here's where we can select the archival, and here's where we can actually archive the data out to AWS instead of going to tape as an example. So I've got this slide bar where I can now specify, okay, I want to keep maybe, let's just say, I'll do 14 days on the rubric appliance, and then after day 14, it's going to archive the data out to AWS S3. But you've got a DR site, so we want to actually replicate the data as well, so we select the replication slider. Then we can select which rubric appliance that we would like to replicate to, and then we've got a slide bar to specify how long we would like to actually keep the data at that remote location. So now what we've done is we configured that, hey, we want to protect the data every day and keep those dailies for 31 days. We want to do monthlies, keep it for a year. And we want to do yearlies, and we want to keep it for 7 years. Now we can obviously change all of this to fit what makes sense and is what matches up with the business requirements. But over here is where we're going to specify where we're going to place this data. The archival out at AWS for long term, but we're also replicating to the second site. Now once I create that SLA, all I have to do is to sign it to whatever object we'd like to protect, whether it's a VM, physical server, Linux, AIX, what have you. So if it's an AIX machine, we go down to servers and apps, and that would fall under Linux and Unix. And what we can do is locate, I've actually gotten a Linux VM out here, Linux machine actually running, and I can actually search for it real quick, locate it, and basically I can specify which SLA I'd like to use. So I can specify that I want to back up all of the files, and then here's where it's going to list all the SLAs, and I'll look for the one that I created. Here it is, and if I put my mouse over it, I can see over here on the right that it's going to protect it daily for 31, monthly for a year, yearly for 7 years. I select that, I hit finish. I've already got an SLA assigned to it, so I won't hit finish now, but I hit finish, and now that SLA is assigned to that Linux server, and it's going to protect all of the files on that Linux server based on what I define in that SLA. And that's all I have to do in order to protect it, replicate it to the DR site, and archive it for long-term retention. Now the next question is, well, how do I go about recovering things? Well, recovering things is easy as well. So if I come and I look, I can just click on, let's say that I want to recover files from this Linux server. And again, from Linux, it doesn't matter if it's AIX Linux or whatever Unix, Solaris even. But I click on it, and I can actually look and see, all the points in time that I've gotten where I've protected the data. And I can just simply hit recover files, and then I can drill down into it and actually look and see which folder, or files I might need to recover. I can drill down into it, select whatever's appropriate, hit next. And then here's where I can just restore the files and overwrite the original. So if I hit finish now, it's going to restore all of those files that I've got selected here back onto that host. Now, of course, I can also restore to a separate folder if need be. So that's recovering local at the main site. But as I can see from this icon right here, we're replicating all of these files that we're protecting to the remote rubric over at the DR location. So if I actually jump over into the rubric appliance that's at DR, so I can log into the appliance there, I can look for that same Linux host. And this one's a little slower, give it a second. Once it pops up, I can click on it, and I can see basically the same information that I saw over on the production side, where I can see all the points in time that I've replicated it over here. So if I needed to recover here, I can see that this is read-only because this is replicated from this site right here, from AMER2 RBK01 over to AMER1 RBK01. And I can click on these points in time. I can see all the files. I can see that this is a replicated copy. And then I can do recover files as well. And I can drill down into which files I'd like to select, which folders, if I wanted to drill down into it and select specific files, and then build out this whole list of folders and files and hit next. And then here's where I would export it to whatever the DR system is. So if I had a system over here that I could select, and then I would just hit finish, and it would recover those files to that system. So those are the steps for protecting the file systems via the SLA and getting it replicated and archived, and also the steps for going through recovering the files, whether I need to recover things locally or I need to recover things from the DR location.